Okay, Ken Krager here from Black Swan Financial Advisors. Again, start out with that disclaimer. Everything on this website is absolutely for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing on this website should be taken as investment advice. So this is part 2, the early years. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the early years of our adventure with Addie and having a child with special needs. And as I said in the first video, you know, the super early years were not much different, but Addie started school when she was 3. And right away we start dealing with the state and the school and everybody about, oh, does she have a disability? What kind of benefits? She has to qualify for the disability, right? And then she can get state benefits. So the reality is that for somebody that has Down syndrome, maybe you know, other disabilities, autism, if it's kind of pretty disabling, they're going to get a diagnosis early in their life, and they will be disabled for the rest of their, considered disabled for the rest of their life. And we're really talking about intellectual disabilities. The ability for, you know, them cognitively delayed, being able to learn, being able to pay attention, because the reality is that these cognitive disabilities often mean that they might not be able to work a normal job. They might not be able to drive a car. Addie's, unfortunately for her, actually, the judge, when we did her guardianship a couple of years ago, said she will not get a driver's license. She can't get a driver's license. She can't vote. And so those are some sad things that you get into. But so from 3 years old up through, I don't know, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, it was all about trying to deal with the schools. And the reality is that in order for you to get the best outcomes for your child and for them to progress to their best possible capabilities, is we're strong, me and my wife are strong proponents of inclusion at the school and making the school deliver on those IEPs and just pushing on the school. And sometimes you need to take an advocate to your IEP meetings and so forth. And we've used three different advocates over the years. And usually we can come up with a good IEP, but what happens is the school doesn't deliver on what they are obligated to deliver. And then, you know, somebody that's from outside that can come in and help you is usually beneficial. But so these early years, you know, starting to deal with the school system, and then also with the Department of Economics or whatever from the state that you have, the Department of Disabilities, again, back to her qualifying for her disability and being able to get hours, respite hours and things to help support you, because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of extra effort to take care of somebody. But the main thing is back to that, you know, intellectual disability and that cognitive disability is you got to ask yourself a really hard question very early. And that really hard question is, will my child be able to 100% guaranteed be able to function and take care of themselves as an adult? Are they going to be able to get a job? Are they going to be able to get to and from the job? Are they going to be able to navigate society on their own? You got to ask that question, and you have to answer it to the best of your ability. And if you err on the side of my child is going to need some help, and you plan for that, then if it turns out better than that, that's great. But if you don't plan for that, and that's what happens, then the situations are really bad. 75% or so of people with, you know, that aren't living with families and stuff, there's a really high percentage, 75% or more, of intellectual disabilities, unemployment. Very high percentage of adults with intellectual disabilities that live in poverty. And if they become a ward of the state, they live in poverty. So one of my first goals, even in the early years, was my daughter will not become a ward of the state ever. I will put something in place so that that never happens. Unfortunately, it took me a few years to figure out kind of what I should start putting in place. But so anyway, those were the early years dealing with the school. Again, from a financial perspective, we're just working. We're starting to make some decent money. But my wife is staying home because she needs to take care of the other kids plus Addie. And so I was just working and we were staying home. So we were saving pretty good. I mean, we were saving probably more than the average family, and especially we were saving probably over 10-15% of our income. But again, you got to remember, you don't need enough assets to help you survive and live very well during retirement. You need to have enough assets that will last 40 years after you're dead, right? I mean, just be blunt about it. And so, you're going to have to save more, and you're going to have to put it in different places because you really need to think about taxes. I mean, think about it. One thing is I like to say is there's more money in not losing money than there is in making money. So think about that. There's more money in not losing money than there is in making money. If I'm paying 30% of my income on taxes, and I can save 10%, so I'm only paying 20% on taxes. I just made 10% on my income, not on my savings, on my income. Think about that. That's pretty good. If I have $100,000 a year family income and I save $10,000 in taxes, that's a pretty darn good return. So in the early years, dealing with the school, hopefully you will start putting together your financial plan. So in the early years, you start setting up that framework and you start splitting that money between the tax-free bucket, the tax-deferred bucket, and the tax-me-now bucket. So anyway, thanks again. That was video number 2. And we'll see you later. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.